The Clean Buildings Performance Standard is the law that applies to existing non-residential buildings over 50,000 square feet. This video can be used to assist building owners in pursuing compliance by meeting the Energy Use Intensity Target, or EUIt, performance metric. For an overview of the Clean Buildings Standard, watch Clean Buildings 101. The Clean Buildings Performance Standard is based on Ashrae Standard 100 with Washington State amendments to address legislative requirements of RCW 19.27a.200 through 240. These amendments are found in WAC 194-50 and identified by the corresponding section number in which they replace in Ashrae Standard 100. These amendments not only replace specific sections of the Ashrae document, but include new sections unique to the Clean Buildings Performance Standard. As noted in the previous slide, Washington State amendments to Ashrae Standard 100 for the Clean Buildings Performance Standard are published separately from Standard 100. These amendments are available from the Washington State Legislature as WAC 194.50. They can also be found on the Clean Buildings website. The graphic on the left side of this slide represents Ashrae Standard 100. The graphic on the right represents amended sections of the Ashrae Standard for the Clean Buildings Performance Standard found in WAC 194-50. The sections noted in the WAC shall be used in place of the same sections noted in the Ashrae Standard. The Clean Buildings Performance Standard is organized into sections as well as normative and informative annexes. Annexes are either normative or informative. Normative annexes are mandatory and informative annexes are for reference and designed to assist in meeting mandatory requirements. This slide highlights the most prominent sections and annexes of Clean Buildings Performance Standard. Annex X and Annex Z are not normative annex unique to the Clean Buildings Performance Standard. Annex Z covers the administrative procedures, including reporting requirements. Annex X covers the investment criteria of the standard and will not be covered in this training. There are additional informative annexes within the standard not covered in this slide that provide additional details supporting the standard. All sections and annexes may not apply to every covered commercial building. Normative Annex Z is a good place to start when determining whether meeting the energy use intensity target is the right path to compliance for any particular building. Energy use intensity target is also referred to throughout this training as EUIt. Compliance with the Clean Buildings Performance Standard is staggered over a 3-year period, starting with the largest buildings. Buildings must comply with this standard by the corresponding dates as noted in this slide and every 5 years thereafter to avoid penalty. The Clean Buildings Performance Standard is a performance-based standard. In addition to implementation of an energy management plan and an operations and maintenance program, compliance with the Clean Buildings Performance Standard requires all covered commercial buildings meet the energy use intensity target or an investment criteria performance metrics by the compliance dates noted in the previous slide. Conditional compliance is temporary compliance method that demonstrates the owner has implemented energy use reduction strategies required by the standard, but has not demonstrated full compliance with the EUIt or investment criteria. To learn more about compliance through the investment criteria or conditional compliance, please refer to the educational resources on these topics located on the Clean Buildings website. The EUIt performance metric is met when the weather normalized energy use intensity, or WNEUI, measured for the building is less than or equal to the EUIt calculated for the building. This slide graphically represents the measured EUI in the metric summary table for a building. The other table represents the EUI target for this specific building, noted in the bottom right of the table, the number 52. So in this case, this building has a EUI, weather normalized EUI of 66.6, but a target of 52. So at this point, this building does not comply. Benchmarking using the Energy Star Portfolio Manager Energy Accounting System in accordance with Section 5 of the standard is the first step in pursuing compliance with the Clean Buildings Performance Standard 3 through the EUIt performance metric. Buildings unable to measure energy use in accordance with Section 5.2 shall pursue compliance in accordance with the investment criteria performance metric. The investment criteria is not covered in this training. An example of a building unable to measure energy use would be a building sharing a meter with other buildings. The second step of benchmarking is developing the EUIt for the building in accordance with Section 7 of the standard. Buildings unable to develop an EUIt shall pursue compliance in accordance with the investment criteria performance metric. If initial benchmarking identifies that the building's weather normalized EUI does not meet the EUIt, a qualified energy auditor shall complete an energy audit according to the requirements of Section 8, energy audit requirements. After the energy audit has been performed, EEMs identified in the audit that will reduce energy use to or below the EUIt shall be implemented in accordance with Section 9, implementation and verification requirements. When a building's weather normalized EUI is equal to or less than the EUIt, the building complies with the EUIt performance metric. Documentation of compliance will be available at and shall be submitted through the Clean Buildings portal using the following forms and the uploading of supporting documents. Form A. Form A is for general compliance documentation and will include the energy management plan and operations and maintenance implementation documentation. Form B. Form B calculates and documents the building's EUIt and records other pertinent building characteristics. Form C. Form C is the State of Washington Clean Buildings Program report from the Energy Star Portfolio Manager and includes the building weather normalized EUI and specific building characteristics required to benchmark the building. As an addition, as part of the energy management plan, any buildings performing an energy audit report shall document the energy audit using the U.S. Department of Energy's audit template of the Energy Asset Score tool. A link to this report will be available on the Clean Buildings portal. As noted, creation of an energy management plan is a mandatory compliance requirement of the Clean Buildings Performance Standard and shall be submitted to Commerce through Form A. Requirements for the energy management plan include development and maintenance of an Energy Star Portfolio Manager account for benchmarking and energy accounting purposes, development and implementation of an operations and maintenance program, documentation of energy audits, training for O&M personnel, a capital management plan, etc. Section 5 of the standard covers all requirements of the energy management plan. An operations and maintenance program shall also be implemented in order that the building's energy using systems achieve intended energy efficiency. This document will also be submitted to Commerce through Form A. The O&M program requirements can be found in Section 6 and Normative Annex L of the standard and shall include tasks that minimize failures and maintain energy consumption efficiency for the following building systems: the envelope, domestic hot water, HVAC, refrigeration, lighting, controls, and on-site power generation. The O&M program shall be implemented at least 12 months prior to mandatory compliance date and uploaded to the Clean Buildings portal by the compliance date in accordance with documentation specified in L2.2.5 of the standard. Conditional compliance is a temporary compliance method that can be applied if the EUIt or investment criteria will not be met by the scheduled compliance date. Applicants can avoid potential penalty when conditional compliance is approved and requirements are maintained. See the conditional compliance checklist or video for more details. Note, application for conditional compliance shall be submitted 180 days prior to the compliance date to avoid penalty. Visit the Clean Buildings webpage to find more tools and resources to assist in compliance with the Clean Buildings Performance Standard. Thank you for joining us. This is the completion of the EUIt training program.